In March of 2020, we had just announced the third class of mentees with Kentucky to the World. We had done so in the company of some of our favorite chefs from Kentucky, women who worked within our program, women who were mentors. We had such amazing sights set on 2020.
Well, we had a very steady and carefully sought out plan, which soon all went to hell.
On March 13th, we went to Maker's Mark and made our first barrel for the third class of mentees. And shortly after, the governor closed every restaurant in Kentucky.
Lindsay called me immediately and said we have to do relief. At the time, I had 3 restaurants and 3 fully stocked, walk-ins full of ingredients that I was not going to be able to use. So I was like, let's just clean out all of the walk-ins and make food and just hand it out to our neighbors. Like, that was the original plan.
We kept our staff on and we prepared every meal. We used all the food that we had in-house. We put a Facebook post up and we put an Instagram post up and said, hey, we have meals for restaurant workers.
Quickly turned into a huge feeding effort in Louisville, and then went to LA and Seattle, and then it was Denver, and on and on and on. It all happened so fast, that first month. And I say this, completely factually, like we did not have time to feel sorry for ourselves or pity or, anything. It was just like, we just went directly into relief mode.
We have a blueprint for how to employ people to be in service to their community. And that's exactly what we did. We called Maker's Mark and said, hey, we want to start this relief kitchen and grocery store. Can you help us? And they said, yes, of course.
Literally, I was sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, and we would wake up and we were just on the phone all day long and figuring out ways to move this relief effort forward.
We were able to open 21 relief kitchens over the next 2 weeks. We were giving cash infusions to the size that you did not have to let your staff go. You could keep them on. They could keep their health insurance, which in the middle of a pandemic is one of the most important things, and do nothing but feed their community. At first when we would talk to people, they would be a little like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. But then a week into it, they're like, our staff has never been better. They were super creative about it. They put all of their effort into it. We had one kitchen at Squirrel in LA that was like, their staff did a tour around the world. And so they couldn't travel, but they could travel through food, and they could put that into the community. It was incredible. We had served over 1 million people as we started to see restaurants reopen, which is not anything I ever believed this tiny nonprofit could do. But because of our partnerships and because of community, we could do that.
I've always said small independent farms and small independent restaurants are 2 sides of the same house. If one fails, so does the other.
Relationships between farms and producers and restaurants take years to cultivate. We can't lose those because of one pandemic, because of 1 year. Like, we need to make sure that those markets are available.
I don't think people understand that one bad season can close a farm. One bad season. Their spring harvest coincided perfectly with the shutdown of restaurants, and so they had the choice of giving the food away for free or destroying it.
So when you're looking at reopening your restaurant after losing 6 months of income, food cost is a very big deal. We formed Reboot. And so with the Reboot effort, we were able to do $1 million cash infusion spread across the country into independent farms and artisans. All that infusion did was guarantee that you had a buyer as a farmer, but also allowed for credits. As you're reopening, you could order from these farmers and artisans at no cost to you. So in the summer of 2020, we started working with a collective of chefs in the South, started a group called Southern Restaurants for Racial Justice. Just a collective of people that really wanted to support the culture of BIPOC-owned businesses in the South. At the end of the pandemic, no one wants to see a completely exclusively wealthy white-owned restaurant culture. So through that program, we're able to give restaurant grants to Black-owned businesses, and so we'll be able to give grants to 60 to 70 BIPOC-owned restaurants throughout the country in the tune of $15,000. We'll also be able to give them support with HR, with financials, a hotline number if you have a PPP loan and you don't know if it's forgivable. Like, we want to give people resources. So for the future of the Lee Initiative in 2021, we're really focusing on rebuilding. None of us would have chosen the ruptures and disruptions that COVID presented. But now that it's happened and our industry has been broken to the ground, we would be wasting time if we didn't rebuild more equitably, more sustainably, and really approach those root issues that we had been fighting for all along. We've been given a great opportunity to rebuild something that we're proud of. Relief will always be a part of the Lee Initiative, but we really see it in a more focused way. Like, we did not expect to be in Texas last week, but there was a natural disaster and there were restaurants that could feed people when the government couldn't. So we were able to do cash infusions to them. But what we're really focusing on is sustainability and our regrowth. So the Women Chefs Initiative will now extend to the spirit world. Beverage programs and culinary programs coexist with one another. We need more women in positions of power. And we also see Reboot working with relief. So we did $1 million into family farms last year. This year we've pledged $1.5 million. And we hope to just expand our reach with that and build more sustainable and equitable programs. The Southern Restaurants for Racial Justice program will also be expanding. It started in the South, so we'll always pay homage to that, but we're going to go nationwide with that program. And I think that if we can plug in these small places within the industry and really try to make a difference, that it'll be contagious and that we can really grow in a more equitable way.